Hello, I'm Amanda Smith with the Activated Earth, and this is the Activated Earth Summit. I'm here with my friend and colleague, Michelle Lee. We've known each other for, I don't know what, like 4 years, maybe 4 years now.
At least,
It
I
seems
think
like
maybe longer.
maybe, but Michelle is a speaker for day two. And I'm going to read her bio right now because she's got it all right here for me, making my life easy. Michelle is the co-founder of the Sophia Mystery School, which I am a part of. I'm learning all of Sophia's mysteries. She's an intuitive spiritual mentor, and she started on her soul's path of empowering women by helping them to reclaim their ability to have painless childbirth. And that was 24 years ago. She's a mystic, a psychic, and a direct conduit of the divine feminine. Michelle understands deeply that for humanity to thrive, women must thrive. Today, Michelle spends her time leading women through profound life transforming retreats, coaches them one to one, and also supports realtors, and other professionals succeed by energetically clearing their businesses and properties for faster and greater success. Well, that one's new to me. That's awesome.
You know, and we were talking about my bio, and I was like, well, what doesn't fit in this moment? And I thought maybe that didn't fit, but it actually does fit because I do property clearings, and
Mhm.
the earth is holding so many dense energies.
Yeah,
And a lot of the clearings I'm doing right now are in Washington, D.C.
of
Yes.
course.
So when I clear a property, it's, not just the building, it's the earth herself that is being cleared
Yeah.
of the dense, warring, heavy energies that she has been exposed to for millions of years.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's kind of a foreshadowing of where we're going with this talk that we're doing today. What I'd love to start with is your backstory. How did you discover the feminine wounds? What are they? And could you just expand on that for us?
Sure, sure. Well, from going from helping women reclaim their power of childbirth, I really went into self love, helping women fall in love with themselves. And I was really drawn to this work because I loathed myself. And I was like, my intuitive knowing, my internal, innate, deep knowing was that self loathing and not loving ourselves is unnatural, absolutely unnatural. And so I went into the questions of, in a perfect world, what would we know about ourselves? And what are the obstacles that get in the way of loving ourselves? And the obstacles are what I have deemed the four core wounds. And those four core wounds are shame, guilt, fear of rejection, and fear of abandonment. Those are the wounds that stand between us and our natural expression of self love. And how I came to those was quite intuitively, right? I asked myself the questions. And I had been working with women for a few years, and I was seeing what was getting in the way of them was this deep unworthiness. I was like, okay, well, what is unworthiness? What's below that? What contributes? What becomes unworthiness? Shame and guilt. Shame and guilt, which then lead to the other wounds of fear of rejection and fear of abandonment. So that's how I came upon it. I sought to find the answers within myself. Somehow I knew that, like I knew I could access the information if I just asked the right questions.
Yeah. Did you get any information on how this wounding originally happened?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I mean, look at, we come to Earth. The wounding is not a mistake. it is an illusion, but it is something we all came here. If you're in 3D, if you came to Earth to experience some incarnations, you knew what you were in for, right? The wounding is the opposite of who we are. The opposite of those wounds are the four divine truths, which are I am good, I am a blessing, I am wanted, and I am lovable. Those are the divine truths. We came from source knowing that. We came from source already. I mean, that was that we didn't know we knew it. And that's why we came to Earth, was to experience the polarity of the divine truths. And so the four core wounds, I mean, let's look at this, how we are incarnated on the planet. We have a mother and a father who are our creators. We see them as God. And then how our gods respond to us. Do they respond to us with unconditional love at all times? Hell no. They're human. They have their own stuff, right? But we define ourselves. Oh, I must be unlovable. I must be bad. My mom, my creator, is angry at me and is yelling at me. And, so it starts that way. We came to have those experiences. So one of the things I share with my clients regularly is give up the idea that your childhood should have been different, or that you should not have these wounds, and really be in gratitude for this experience, because you manifested this experience. You as a soul came to Earth to experience these four core wounds, right? And to experience the awakening from them. And that's what we're really talking about now. It's like, okay, so I do loathe myself. I'm ready to not have that experience anymore. Now I want the experience of truly loving myself and knowing my divinity.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know all about your technique because I've experienced it, but I would love if you would share with everybody how you help them transform and what that transformation looks like.
Sure, sure. Well, the primary modality I use is emotional freedom technique combined with my intuition and my ability to channel my clients' guides, teachers, and angels, and my own guides, teachers, and angels. And EFT is tapping. And, most people have heard of emotional freedom technique and the tapping, and you really focus on, I dive deep. I was always one that was like, but why? What motivates? When I was helping people quit smoking, I'm also a hypnotherapist. And so I went into weight loss and smoking cessation. But my question is like, why? Why would somebody smoke, right? It's counterintuitive to our survival instinct to smoke. It's counterintuitive, right? So I was like, why? What is it? It's that self-loathing, that lack of self-love, and so my point in sharing that is I've always looked for the deeper meaning. What's the motivation? And I think that's why I have been so successful in getting the results for my clients. Is it's not just about tapping and I was angry and now I'm not angry and I feel so much better and I'm in love with everybody, and that might last 15 minutes, it might last 15 days, but what's underneath the anger? Oh my gosh, I feel powerless. Oh, we have these beliefs. And EFT is amazing for transmuting beliefs, right? Because our body is an expression of our emotions and our beliefs. So when we tap on the major meridian points and we are focusing on the emotion and focusing on the belief, we're actually pulling it out and releasing it. I work with women. And one thing that we as women do is we can be angry, we can be hurt, we can have this experience and we go, oh, I shouldn't feel that way. I shouldn't. And we suppress these emotions. And the first step to emotional freedom technique is even though I feel hurt and angry, I deeply and completely love, accept, and forgive myself. So we validate our emotions. But those emotions are the super glue to our beliefs, to our beliefs. And our beliefs are beliefs about ourselves, our perception of ourself, of myself, is what creates every experience I have. And so, working through these core wounds, the perception of shame is I am bad.
Mhm.
So, and we took on that belief system as little girls. We might have been 2, we might have been 4, we might have been 6 months old, right? Where we made the decision that we are bad based on things happening to us and around us, right? And then we have that shame, and then we have experience after experience after experience after experience, because we are now a magnet to those experiences that validate I am bad. And so my work in working through those core wounds is going to the core of that. You know, it runs deep. I hear my clients tell me, well, this one really runs deep, this one really runs deep, and I go, yes, but do you know what runs deeper? What? Your divine truth that I am good. That's what runs the deepest. That is stronger than everything else. So that's how I do it. And I really hold space for that. People go, well, you work with a lot of heavy emotions, and you must be exhausted. No, because I can empathize with you, and I can feel your pain, and I can even cry with you. But ultimately, I know that's all just a story. It's all just a story. It feels really real to you, but as we tap through it, what happens, the result is you go, wow, I can talk about this. And I have no emotional attachment to it. So what we do is we release the emotional trauma of it, but hang on to the wisdom.
Yeah. And I actually really love that it's called emotional freedom technique. Um, it frees you up to feel those feelings and acknowledge them as real for you, and then let them go and replace them with the divine truths. Mm-hmm. And once that is done, how do things look different for people? Have you received any stories from people where they said, oh, this like so changed in my life? Do you have something that you can share with us?
Oh, absolutely. One experience that comes to mind was working. I've worked with a lot of sexual abuse. Women releasing the shame and guilt around their sexual abuse and reclaiming their sexuality. And one woman was assaulted by her as a little girl, her stepfather. His name was Marvin. And she could barely even say his name. It was so distasteful. And so one session, we totally worked through that and worked through all that shame. And she left her session, stopped by a furniture store on her way home, and a gentleman came up and said, welcome in, my name's Marvin. And she was just like, oh, and she had no emotion around it. Immediately her experience, her association of that name with shame and guilt and disgust was broken. It was broken in that way. So that's one thing. Another woman who had I have lots of women who go to years and years of therapy and then come to me and fire their therapist, because within a few weeks, their results working with me are, so multiplied by any results that they may have gotten with their therapist, which is minuscule most of the time. But this one woman harbored anger towards her husband because they both worked in the medical industry, and he lost his license for for drug use, which cut their income in half, which then affected their ability to fulfill their dreams, their plans that they had. And, she was angry about it. And her therapist, she had been to 2 or 3 therapists, everyone was telling her, you have to forgive him, you have to forgive him, you have to forgive him. She came to me and I'm like, man, that sucks. I would be pissed off too. And just even that of going, she's like, you're the first person who said it's okay for me to be angry. And from there, we could release the anger.
Yeah.
We could release the idea that she was victimized by her husband's behavior, and then discover the solution of creating their dreams in a new way. So it transformed their marriage too. Transformed their marriage. How many times I have women who work with me, we hear the old school, like their husbands say, oh, that's expensive, don't spend that kind of money. But when the woman stands for herself and she starts working with me, pretty soon their husbands are saying, is it time for you to have a session with Michelle? It transforms how we feel about ourselves, our perception about ourselves. And of course that affects every relationship we have. So those are a few results.
Yeah. And what about for you, as you have embodied this over the years, where has that taken you into perhaps creating more flow in your life?
Amazing flow. It's taken me to new heights. And I know, the heights that are infinite, we get to go so much. And I was just thinking this morning, I have been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. My son, I had my son and I went into postpartum depression. And that's when I found how to help women have painless childbirth. So he's 25 years old now. And so I've been an entrepreneur. I raised 3 kids being an entrepreneur as a single mom, but it was a struggle. It was a struggle. And I was working so much in the masculine way, like strive, push, grind. And finally, this year I was tired of grinding and spinning my wheels and getting the same results. And I live the life that a lot of people would love to live. I work in my home. I am doing my soul's work. I have spent the last 2.5 decades doing my soul's work. I feel very fulfilled, very, very blessed in every way. And yet, last year I was working on getting to 6 figures for a year, and grinding, exhausted. And finally in 2021, I was like, I'm going to work in flow, as scary as it is. I'm embracing the divine feminine and how to bring my work forward, bring my blessings forward in ease and flow. So what that meant for me was no more working evenings, because I would take a dinner break, have dinner with my family, grab my computer and work in the evenings. And I would spend half a day Saturday and half a day Sunday working as well. It was grind. I gave that up. And really worked into the flow and really embodied the truth that I am worthy of ease and flow and abundance and success in a blissful, joyful way. And I was thinking just this morning, wow, I just did my second quarter taxes sent into my accountant, and I have broken through 6 figures just in the first half of the year. So I've doubled my income by working less and embracing the flow and here's what else. I became 100% authentic. This bio that you read about being the divine feminine, being psychic, doing these property clearings, my clients would know that a little bit, but I kept it kind of close. Like, what clients do I share this with? What clients don't I share this with? Well, this year I'm like, screw it. This is who I am. I work magic. I work at the energetic levels. This is what I do. Whether you're in corporate, activating your divine feminine in your corporate job, or you want to become an entrepreneur, no matter who you are, connecting with your divine feminine is the way to success. And so I just really embraced and was like, this is who I am. If I resonate with you, great. If I don't, great. So I totally took off the cloak and my income doubled.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And I realize that that's about embracing your own personal state of being.
Yes.
And that the divine feminine is actually what shows us how to be. And you mentioned early on about how you're actually with the clearings, you had mentioned something about how this is coming from the earth. So I would love to reconnect and revisit that idea and hear from you how you feel and see that your work with women and humanity might actually be helping to balance things for the earth, and then perhaps offer uh, a synergistic effect for the rest of us who maybe aren't as attuned to what's going on right now, but are living in it, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you look at humanity, the divine feminine was extricated out of our culture. There was no divine feminine. There was, the sinful woman who was the temptress, or, we had two archetypes, the prostitute or the virgin, right? Those were the stories. And so the mother has been a sacrificial mother. You have to give up yourself. The mother is the guilty mother, right? Because whatever goes wrong with your kids, of course, it was the mother's fault. So there was no reverence for the mother, and which created a lot of wounding that has gone down from generation to generation. Wounded people wound people, wounded people wound our Mother Earth. And there's no reverence for the mother. So of course there's no reverence for Mother Earth. And of course, this story that the mother has to be sacrificial, just suck her dry, right? That's how that has, we have done to our Earth Mother. Suck her dry, take what you can, with no reverence to her consciousness, to her value. And so, as we, one by one, as we women reclaim our divinity, reclaim our value and our place on this planet, our place of value, one by one, that radiates out. We look at, oh, how are we treating our Mother Earth? It's all connected. It's not separate at all. It's not separate at all. And as we awaken to that, to loving ourselves, it is how we love ourselves, is how we love our earth, it's how we love each other. It's, how much reverence I have for myself is how much reverence I have for others and for the mother. And that's how it comes into place. That's how it comes into place. It's that not sacrificing, Mother Earth is abundant. She is abundant. Her water is abundant. Everything, all of that is abundant. It is our thought processes that create drought, that create a lack and limitation. And yeah, there are people who benefit from the fear of drought, the fear of not enough, the fear of not enough food. It keeps humanity scared and in the scarcity mindset, which then makes us better consumers, makes us more easily controlled. I mean, oh gosh, I can't think of the author. Oh, you would know him too. but he talks about he studied with, indigenous people who could do the rain dance, who could manifest water instantly. That is our connection with the divine, right? That is our connection. But it's the reverence. It's the reverence of knowing that nature is here to support me and love me, and I in turn support and love nature.
Yeah. So do you think you could, I realize you're referencing somebody else's work, but could you address about what you were saying as far as humanity, we could actually make it rain, or have an effect on the environment in a positive way where we get to receive better.
Yes. Yes. So I shared with you before, um, I've studied and read The Game of Life and How to Play It, Florence Scovel Shinn. And I'm really downloading her book that follows that up called Your Word is Your Wand. And she says in there that humans have power over the elements. And she has an affirmation in there that declares rain, and knowing it's about knowing your own power to affect the outer the outer experience. It's about knowing that we are divine beings, right? And we do not need everyone around us to agree with us and get it. I mean, I know with Activated Earth, you could have a community of 10 or 12 people who call for rain, who call for, and that's going to bring in the rains.
We've actually been playing with that you
Yeah.
mentioned. And I'll just I will talk about this just for a second. I read The Power of Eight by
Mm-hmm.
Lynn McTaggart, which is all about creating groups of meditators and visionaries and envisioning an outcome without worrying about the how, and just envisioning the outcome. So I've actually already held one meditation session for envisioning rain for California, which is where I live.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that this came up and out from this. And um I am going to take us like sort of back down into nuts and bolts, because I'm very curious about what you are doing with the energetic clearing and what is happening for those people that get to receive that from you.
Mm-hmm. Well, um, it's I do that energetic clearing for realtors, right? And they have properties that they're selling that have been listed that are sitting dormant, not much action. And in the DC area, it's multi-million dollar
Mhm.
properties that aren't showing, that aren't. So I go in and I tune in and I clear any energies from there. There's can be ghosts and earthbound spirits and poltergeists. There's also the energies of all the people that lived in that home. There's also the energies of the land beneath the home,
Mhm.
right? It's billions of years old. Dinosaurs walked it. Yet, our earth is old and carries all this history, right? And as humans, we're energetic beings. And so the energy of a property can repel people. And then that house or the building, whether it's a business or a home, has a consciousness of its own, right? And so I clear all of those energies and bless it to call in, because if you have a home, this home, the home that you're in and the home that I'm in has consciousness, and it was built to be a temple for a family. And the consciousness of this home desires to have a loving family in it. So a home that is sitting there empty when the seller wants somebody else in it, that's the sad home,
Yeah.
right? So I connect the consciousness of the home with its ideal buyer, with its ideal person. So what happens, and I can't guarantee it every time, but I've had properties sell within 48 hours after a clearing. And it
Mm.
hadn't even shown, people are all of a sudden, everybody wants to see this property and they have multiple offers. All of the properties that have sold after my clearings have sold over the asking price, even though it sat there for months sometimes, or multiple weeks without being shown. And so, there's a lot of dense energy with politics and DC. So I really feel like I'm doing a huge, there's greater benefits than just moving the properties and helping the sellers and the buyers and helping the agents. There's a blessing that takes place
Mhm.
upon Mother Earth herself, and releasing that dark, dense energy that, is in that area too.
Yeah, I love that. Um, would you say that, um, well, what would you do if you sensed something in the area where perhaps there had been a burial area there, cemetery type of thing? What happens with that? I mean, because now everything's been built upon, and it's not like we can tear it down and honor, the burial site.
Mhm.
How do you deal with that?
I love that you asked that, because that's one of the things I look into is has this land um been a burial site, been a battleground, or been a sacred site? And then I ask the elementals, that and the guardians of this earth, let's honor those beings that have been there, and now let's shift the energy of this land to whatever it is now, right? Like, to be a loving, Christ light filled home, right? So I actually do shift that land assignment from being a burial ground or a sacred ground to what it is now being used to, and blessing all those that have come before and all those that are yet to come. Great
Nice.
question.
Yeah, so the energy gets to recycle itself, just like all things.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that feels good.
Good.
So I really see your work as so much of an answer to healing our earth connection
Hmm.
and creating a relationship with nature. And I'm just wondering if there's anything else that didn't get addressed, that I didn't ask about, that you think should be offered before we finish.
Thank you for asking that. I think last words I would share is, the most healing and most beneficial thing you can do for your family, for your loved ones, for Mother Earth, is to do your own healing work. And as you do that, step into nature, enjoy Mother Nature. She is healing you as well. I mean, she gives us all we need. And truly, just as you're doing with the power of eight, is that everything can transform on this planet in an instant. It's a matter of changing your perception, your self-perception, and knowing your power.
Amazing. Michelle, thank you so much for being here. I'm deeply honored that we got to do this together. And I would love it if you would just share real quick how people can get in touch with you, like where they could go to find you. If you
Yes, yes,
don't
yes.
mind.
Yes, you can go to thesophiamysteryschool.com is our website. I also have Michelle Lee Coaching And you can find us on Facebook. And I know we'll put all the links below, make this super easy.
Yep.
Find us on Facebook in the Practical Magic Interactive Training, where my daughter and I, as you know, Megan, in the
Yes, I
Sophia
do.
Mystery School, we co-founded the Sophia Mystery School together. And so that's our free Facebook group where we do trainings every week, and we do many freebies, free trainings to connect you with your power. And also, we'll add in the Instagram for myself and Megan, and you can just connect with us in all those places.
Definitely. And I encourage everybody to do so. I've received so much from both Michelle and Megan over the years. So again, Michelle, thank you so much for being here. And everybody else who's here, thank you for listening. And we will see you again. Thank you.
Thank you.